Alright, ladies and gentlemen, how are you guys doing? It's Tuesday, January 25th, 2022. Thank you for joining me here tonight for another metallic episode of Music of Destruction, bringing you the best in metal related content right here on YouTube on the only metal channel you guys need. If you missed anything in the past week, the eye in the upper right corner, click on it. All the videos come down for you right there. I'd really appreciate it. If you want me to review anything, make suggestions in the comment section below. Slam, deathcore, metalcore, and modern tech death are not appreciated. I don't like the genres. Remember, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. You're looking at the hardest working channel in the niche of metal, along with Ken's Death Metal Crypt and Adam Schnellenbach, two more that I thoroughly enjoy watching. Now, you guys did ask me to bring back This Week in the Metal News Live, which I probably will do. I got to put together a new intro, and I'm only going to be reporting on underground metal because, let's face it, I hate the fucking mainstream for the most part. Welcome to Album Review Tuesdays here on the channel. Tonight we're going deep beneath the earth into South America, Santiago Chile to be exact, for a look at one of my favorite new OSDM bands with Putrid Evocation-Echoes of Death. Now, this was released in 2014 on Xtreem Music Productions. I'll put links in the description, where you can pick up this album. Now, if you caught my previous review of Eternal Gloom, A Void of Agony, and Repugnancy, you already know how much that EP impressed me, and I did manage to get the Blue Shell cassette, which I was very excited for, because there was only 100 of those, and that came out on Burning Coffin Records in 2021. I was very excited to get this full length. Now, Putrid Evocation play a very disgusting, rotting, and repugnant style of old-school death metal with some doom metal thrown in for good measure. Very much in the vein of Autopsy, Abhorrence, Incantation, Putrenance, and Convulse, of course, which gives them a very unique presence in the South American death metal underground, but more importantly, it shows the modern tech death scene that the OSDM style will always reign supreme over the trendy plastic bullshit that's popular. And what I love about this band is they stick with a raw, dirty production that adds the morbid, decaying rot to their sound, and this is how death metal should sound. Now, the band formed back in 2011 and have released 4 demos, 2 EPs, a live album, and 1 full length, of course, this being their only one. And the lineup on this album is as follows. We have Kenny Chikama on drums, Benjamin Castro guitars and vocals, Robert Jimenez on bass and backing vocals, which I really appreciate as well. Alright, so now that you have some background on the band, let's get into the review. So the album opens up with Horror from the Cemetery, and we get this really dark ambient piece with the sound of a church bell ringing over and over, with the whispered voices of the dead rising from their graves, with the sound of fog looming overhead in the sky, with the stench of death and putridity hanging so thick in the air you can almost taste it. This is an incredible atmospheric track with some really great rotten riffs and down-tuned bass that give it a powerful presence, and the slower pace of the track makes it feel very much like death doom metal, and that works to the band's advantage because this combination is perfect when it's done right, and the mid-paced tempo shifts on here really give it that feeling and vision of death and the death corpses rising and hungering for human flesh, and this is a great opener. Next up, we have the title track, Echoes of Death, and this one continues right where Horror from the Cemetery left off, and the thick stench of vile, putrid corpses becomes even more dense and suffocating on this one, but also carries on the same theme of the opener, and of course the homage to their influences here is undeniable, but they also have their own unique presence being South American, and their mix of death and doom metal all over this record gives it such a foreboding atmosphere, and their obsession with rot and death is so incredible. And the track does have tempo shifts all throughout, ranging from a faster blasting back down to a slow crawl, almost like the dead are running after you, but then shifting back to more of them slowly rising from their slumber and eventually overtaking the living. Now, the use of the filth-ridden production here works to their advantage to convey such a rotting stench that is overwhelming and downright vile and disgusting. But what else do you want from real death metal? This is a great track. Next up, we have Revelations of Hell's Apocalypse, and the insane depravity continues downward into the deepest recesses of the crypts and the graves of the dead, straight down into hell. On this track, as Echoes of Death bleeds straight into this one, and I love how the album is like a continuous unfolding of death and madness with no hope of ever touching or embracing life again. The aesthetics and atmosphere of this album are perfect, and this is another mid-paced affair in the beginning minutes of the track that really remind me of Autopsy, especially in their second album, Mental Funeral. but the song then kicks off into a blasting whirlwind of disgusting cacophony and chaos, with the vocals sounding like an undead ghoul who just awakened from 1,000 years of slumber, wanting to feast on the flesh and the blood of the living. And does this band ever kick ass? We even get some black metal shrieks on this track as well, and it adds a great deal of cold atmosphere to this already disgusting, vile, putrid piece of miasmic sludge dripping off the corpses of the dead. And the riffs, bass, and drums all combine with the vocals here to create a rotting death and vile stench-filled atmosphere. This is another brilliant track. Next up is Vengeance from the Crypts, and this one is a faster, straight-up death metal track with tons of frantic blasting and chainsaw savagery in the riffing and bass work. The drumming here is like a jackhammer drilling into your skull until it slows down into a more doomy mid-paced track. The shift in tempo all throughout give it such a terrifying feeling and structure that it sounds like panic and fear overtaking you at every step and turn, and all you want to do is continue to run as you see the corpses rising from the crypts, hungry and seething with eternal rage. The vocal work on this track makes it that much more terrifying and dark. I love the fact that this is a atmospheric death metal as it approaches cosmic horror in so many ways, much like their newest EP does. I would say that this horrifying theme of cosmic horror and rot-ridden death makes perfect sense for this band, and this combination makes it absolutely awesome. So let's check out Vengeance from the Crypts right now on Music of Destruction. Enjoy. And we're back, guys, and this is a really killer song. Now, next up we have Morbid Sacrilegious, and this album continues to unfold like a blanket of death and cosmic horror, and you can hear and feel the similarities between the tracks as the chaos and madness engulf you. The riffing on this one has some black metal elements as well as pure death metal chaos and brutality. Of course, the vocals continue to add so much rotten terror to the songs as well that the album plays off of its strengths and doesn't really have any weaknesses. While there's a great deal of similarity on each track, the point of this style as death metal is consistency, in order to fully absorb you into the album's music and lyrical themes as well as its aesthetics and ideology. Now, the band certainly executes this with flawless perfection, and this is one of the fastest tracks on the album. This is killer stuff. Next up is Unquenchable Flame, and this is a track fueled by bloodlust and rage of the dead with its cacophonic fueled blasting and savage chainsaw eviscerating riffs with a focus on brutality and darkness. Morbid decaying rot is very intact on this one as one of the fastest tracks on the album. Again, we get equal parts brutality and slow crawling putridity from its doom metal aesthetics and atmosphere. That really helps the album stand out because even though this is OSDM with a lot of homage being paid to their influences, this is indeed South American death metal with a strong emphasis on atmosphere and horrifying the listener with its dripping, rotting atmosphere and decaying insanity that sets in deeper and deeper on each track and repeated listens. This is another amazing track. Next up, we have Horrible Disease, and this is a track filled with fear and disgusting rot, but also the sound of mentally breaking down from being consumed with evil and the hunger for flesh. The zombified riffing and drum work alongside the bass to create a sick, putrid vocal performance that really emphasizes insanity and disgusting miasmic slime crawling up through your pores and soaking into your veins while you watch your body decay from the inside out, only to be led into total insanity with nothing but hunger and rage filling your mind as you try to hold on to some semblance of your humanity, only to find it stripped away and forgotten as the track devours you entirely. And I absolutely love this one. This is a great track here again. Next up, we have the track Total Death, and this is 3 minutes and 20 seconds of vile acidic bile consuming your mind and soul, as the riffing and drums and bass are absolutely sick and maniacal. The album has so much in common with Autopsy's Severed Survival that it's not even funny, right down to the production, and I would say the band's biggest influences would definitely be Convulse and Autopsy, coupled with the other bands that I mentioned. Now this does nothing but serve the band's goals of creating that atmospheric, rotting death metal of the days of old in the first and second waves of the genre. But Putrid Evocation are less focused on gore and more focused on rot and death and horror, which gives the album so much more depth and substance, rather than just relying on cheap shock value bullshit. This is an absolute banger of a track as well, and one of the best on the album. Closing out the album is the track Putrid Intercourse, which is a Convulse cover, which is another one of their strongest influences, and they do a really brilliant job with this one, as it creates an atmosphere of necrophilic obsession and death-rot-ridden slime that's fully intact and just destroys and annihilates you with its brutality and morbid putrid rot and disgusting vile slime-ridden aesthetics. Of course, and for them to do such an amazing job with this cover tells you how hard this band works and how serious they are in creating that horrifying, atmospheric, old-school death metal that people like myself really love. They're not concerned with brutality or technicality as much, as it's more focused on creating atmosphere and disgust and a fascination with death and morbid decay, and it absolutely works to their perfection. This is another amazing track. The final verdict for Echoes of Death from Putrid Evocation is getting a 10 out of 10. The band can do no wrong, and I want to hear their demos as well as Blackness and Shroud, which is another EP, and I really love this band a lot, so make sure you pick it up. Links are in the description where you can buy this album. Alright, so there you have it, another album review here on Music of Destruction. I hope you enjoyed the premiere. If you're new, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss anything. teespring.com/music-of-destruction for some merchandise on that page. I also have a Bonfire store up now, bonfire.com/store/music-of-destruction. Janelle has been helping me with new designs. I put up some new designs recently. Going to be working on some more in the coming weeks. If you want to help out through Patreon, you get exclusive content, my podcast with The Seed episode number 35, The History of Cryptopsy, up on Patreon right now. Patreon.com/music-of-destruction. Pick the $5 tier. You'll get access to this exclusive content. Colton James and myself have completed our first movie review of Alien. We're working on Aliens from 1986 right now as part of our Alien Trilogy special over on Beyond the Big Screen Movie and Game Review. Go over there and subscribe. Also, like, comment, and share this video. Have a great night. We'll see you for Album Ranking Wednesdays. Cheers. See you guys in the next video.